Asterisk Part 1. The night we don't talk about. Rewrite start asterisk. I smelled blood before. I even opened the tower door. Asterisk. Fresh blood, metallic sharp, warm in the air, despite the cold wind blowing off the pines. A smear of it streaked across the wood planks like something had been dragged. Not an animal kill. Not a hunter accident. Something else. Something wrong. That was the moment I knew the night was going to go bad. My name is Evan Harlow, U.S. Forest Ranger for the Sierra North region, and if anyone finds this recording, everything I'm about to say is real. I wish it wasn't. God, I wish I could convince myself I hallucinated every piece of it, but I didn't. I wasn't tired. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't imagining things. The forest was alive that night in a way no forest should be. Asterisk the shift started at 8:03 p.m. late because the ranger before me, Old Man Rogers, never showed up for handoff. He was supposed to brief me on trail closures and radio issues. Instead, I walked into the lookout tower to find dried, bloody fingerprints on the door handle and the entire room dead silent. Asterisk. The radio wasn't crackling. Asterisk the generator wasn't humming. No coffee pot dripping. No chair creaking in the wind. Just silence. A heavy, suffocating silence that felt like a held breath. Asterisk. I pushed the door open slowly, every instinct screaming at me to turn around. The smell of blood hit me harder inside, stronger now, like I was standing inside an invisible puddle of it. But the floor was clean. Wiped clean. Too clean. That's when I noticed the window. 5 long scratches carved into the glass. Deep, parallel, perfectly straight. No animal does that. No human does that. Not with any tool I've ever seen. Asterisk. My radio crackled once, like a whisper of static, then went quiet again. I lifted it off the desk. Asterisk. Dispatch. Tower 9 checking in. Anyone copy? Nothing. Just that. Suffocating quiet. I felt watched before I knew I was watched. I turned slowly toward the far window, and at first I thought my eyes were playing tricks. Something tall stood between the trees. Too tall, a silhouette rising above the needles, motionless, thin like a telephone pole. No wind moved it, no light reflected off it. It was just there. Then it bent, not like a person bending, asterisk like a creature folding in half without joints. Asterisk. I stumbled back a step, breath catching. What the radio screeched. Not static. A scream. A human scream, cut off halfway. Asterisk. I dropped the radio. Heart hammering. The tower lights flickered once. Twice. Then everything went dark. Asterisk. Pitch black. Asterisk. The kind of black that feels like it is weight. Asterisk. I fumbled for my flashlight, hands shaking, breath shallow. My fingers closed around a tie swished at asterisk, and something was standing inside the tower with me. Not fully visible, just a shape. Asterisk. A tall, crooked shadow stretching from the corner, its head scraping the ceiling. I froze. The beam of my flashlight trembled across its form, pale skin stretched too tight over bone. Limbs too long, chest too narrow, neck too extended like someone pulled it upward. It didn't have eyes. Not ones I could see. Just smooth, pale skin where they should have been. But it was looking at me. Every cell in my body felt it looking at me. Asterisk. I couldn't move. Couldn't blink. My heart thudded in my throat. The creature leaned forward without moving its feet. Its whole body tilted like a single piece of wood bending. The skin where eyes should be twitched, vibrating like something underneath was pressing out words. Asterisk. Then it whispered my name. Evan? Asterisk. My flashlight hit the floor as I stumbled. Backward. WH, what are you? Stay back. Stay. Asterisk. The thing straightened, its bones cracking like frozen branches. And it opened its mouth. Not sideways. Not a jaw. Asterisk. The entire front of its face split open from forehead to chin, like a rotten fruit peeling in for jagged petals. No teeth inside. No tongue. Just a void, dark, wet, pulsing. Asterisk. My name came again. From inside that void. Asterisk. Yvonne. I bolted for the stairs. The wood rattled under my boots as I sprinted down the tower ladder 2 steps at a time. Somewhere above me, the creature's limbs scraped against the walls. Something long and heavy slid down after me, not clumming, just descending. Like gravity didn't apply to it. Asterisk. I hit the ground running, breath blasting out in terrified gasps. The forest swallowed me immediately. Dark, cold, dense. My flashlight beam shook across trunks and leaves. Eva's shadow looked wrong. Asterisk. Behind me. The creature landed. The ground shook. The trees rattled. Asterisk. I heard it inhale. Not a breath. A hunger. Asterisk. Sigh pushed deeper into the trees. Branches whipping my face. Rocks rolling under my boots. I didn't look back. If I looked back, I'd die. My radio crackled. I grabbed it desperately mid-run. Dispatch. Something is in the forest. I need backup, now. A whisper interrupted me on the channel. My own voice. Asterisk. You can't run, Evan. I threw the radio into the bushes. My pulse pounded so hard I could feel it in my teeth. I didn't know where I was going. Just away. Away from the tower. Away from that thing. Away from the blood on the door and the way it said my name. Asterisk. A branch snapped behind me. Then another. Then another. Closer. Faster. Wrong. The sound wasn't like footsteps. It was like something pulling itself along the trees with limbs that weren't made for walking. Thuds mixed with scraping wood. Wet slaps against bark. I pushed myself harder until my lungs felt like they were tearing apart. Then ahead something moved, not the creature. A light? Asterisk. A lantern. Swinging gently between the trees. A human figure stepped into view. A ranger. Rogers. Asterisk. Rogers. Thank God. We have to. He held up a hand. His palm was covered in blood. Asterisk. His face was pale. Lips trembling. Eyes wide to widen, till I realized they weren't wide with fear. Asterisk. They were wide because the skin around them was stretched unnaturally taut, pulled by invisible fingers. Asterisk. He shook his head slowly. Evan, you shouldn't have come out. Here. Asterisk. I didn't have a choice. Something's in the forest, it's hunting. Asterisk. It's always been here. His voice broke. It knows your name now. Asterisk. What the hell does that mean? Rogers took one shaky step forward. The lantern light flickered across his body. Asterisk. His uniform was torn in long, straight lines. 4 lines. Identical to the scratches. On the tower window. Asterisk. They don't like the tower, he whispered. Too high. Too close to the sky. Asterisk. Who? Rogers. Who? His eyes filled with tears as his jaw clenched like he was trying not to scream. Then his chest opened. Not bleeding. Not ripping. Opening. 4 long slits peeled back like flaps, revealing a black cavity inside, wet and hollow. Asterisk. From that cavity, a voice spoke. Not Roger's voice. A child's voice. Asterisk, come with us, Evan. Asterisk, my stomach dropped. Rogers asterisk, he collapsed to his knees, chest still gaping open, the lantern falling and rolling in a circle around us. His mouth opened in a silent scream, skin stretching, cracking until something behind his lips bulged outward like a fist pushing through paper. Asterisk. Then it whispered again. Asterisk, run. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I just ran. Branches tore my arms. Roots ripped my clothes. The forest turned into a blur of black and silver. Asterisk, behind me, the creature screamed. Asterisk, and from every direction. Deeper in the trees, more screams answered. Dozens, maybe more. The forest was full of them. Asterisk, the forest had always been full of them, and now they were awake. And now they knew my name. Part 2. Branches whipped my face as I ran blindly through the blackness of black pine forest. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. Every step felt like running through molasses, yet the forest seemed alive, reaching for me, shifting its paths, closing off trails that should have led me out. The moonlight above wasn't helping. Its pale beams only carved shadows that weren't shadows. Shapes that slithered, twisted, disappeared the moment I blinked. I tripped over a root and fell, face first into mud. Pain shot through my shoulder. My flashlight, somehow still in my grasps, lit out of my hands. I scrambled forward on my hands and knees, desperate, disoriented. Then I heard it. Clicks. Hundreds of them. Tiny, synchronized, echoing between the trees. I froze. The clicking came from everywhere now. The ground, the branches, behind me, above me. My own heartbeat sounded like a drum, pounding against my ears. I tried to move again, ran a few steps and stopped cold. There, in the clearing ahead, something waited. Asterisk, not one thing. Many things. Asterisk, tall, thin silhouettes. Too tall, too thin, too wrong. Their limbs bent at angles that no human should survive. Their heads tilted in perfect unison toward me. They didn't make a sound yet, but I felt their gaze press against my chest, my stomach, my skull. My throat tightened. Asterisk, I had to get out. I had to survive. I turned and ran deeper into the forest, choosing a path that might have been a trail. Leaves tore at my clothes and scratched my skin. The smell rotting earth, wet moss, decayed wood filled my lungs. But I couldn't stop. Asterisk, then I stumbled upon it. The old ranger cabin, abandoned for decades. Its roof sagged, windows shattered. Door hanging by one hinge. My only thought. Shelter, somewhere to hide. Somewhere to catch my breath. Asterisk, I ran to the door, slammed it shut behind me, and pressed my back against it, chest heaving. My flashlight illuminated the interior. Dust coated everything. Old ranger. Tools lay on the floor. The fireplace was cold and empty. Cobwebs stretched across the corners. And then I heard it. A whisper. From inside the cabin. Asterisk, Evan. Asterisk, I froze. My flashlight flickered. My pulse raced. I slowly swung the light toward the sound. Shadows moved where there shouldn't be shadows. The beam fell on the floor, nothing. On the walls, nothing. Asterisk, then. In the corner, a figure stepped into view. My chest went cold. It was me. Not just a shadow, not just a face in the dim light. It was me. Same uniform, same features, same scars I didn't even remember having. Only its eyes were hollow. Number pupils. Just black emptiness, staring. It smiled. and its smile wasn't mine. Asterisk, I bolted, tried to pass it, but the figure's arm shot out long, unnatural, bending in a way human arms cannot, and blocked me. It whispered in a voice I couldn't distinguish. From my own, asterisk, you've been chosen. Asterisk, chosen. Chosen for what? I screamed. Asterisk, the figure tilted its head. Its skin rippled like water. It stepped closer. Asterisk, and then the cabin walls began to pulse. Slowly at first, then faster. The floor felt like it was breathing beneath me. The wood warped, stretched. The ceiling arched and groaned. Something inside the walls was moving. Asterisk, I stumbled back. My flashlight flickered again. The figure lunged. Not with its feet. It didn't move like a human. It simply fell forward, floating, bending the air around it as it reached me. I screamed and dove through the shattered window. Glass cut my arms and face, but I didn't care. I ran blindly into the forest. Asterisk, the clicking started again. Hundreds of them, louder this time, echoing as if the forest itself were alive. They were coming. The forest had awakened. The trees themselves seemed to stretch their limbs toward me, grabbing, scraping, clawing. I tripped and fell into a ditch. Mud and water soaked me instantly. I crawled to my knees, gasping. Above me, branches twisted in impossible ways, forming shapes, faces, eyes, mouths, black voids. Dead whispered my name in the air itself. Asterisk, I heard footsteps behind me. Not human footsteps. Not animal. Something that shouldn't exist. Something enormous. The forest groaned as if it were the creature, itself moving toward me. Then I saw the hole. The place where I had first fallen into the underworld of Black Pine Forest. The circular cavity in the ground, still glowing faintly green. My heart sank. I didn't want to go back in there. I didn't want to look. But the creatures were closing in. I ran toward it anyway, without thinking, without hope.
The edge of?
The hole felt alive under my fingertips as I clutched it and slid down into the green glow. Asterisk, the cavern welcomed me. The air thickened, wet and cold. The ground pulsed. The walls rippled. The creatures waited. Not far ahead, just on the edge of vision. Asterisk, I ran as fast as I could. Every step echoed in the cavern like my own heartbeat. I could feel them moving just behind me. The clicking, the whispering, the breathing of the forest, underground it all. Pressed against me, suffocating. Asterisk, then I stumbled into a chamber. Wide open, taller than any tree I had ever seen. Shadows danced across the walls, forming shapes I couldn't name. Figures twisted together in impossible ways, rising and falling like the forest itself was alive. Asterisk, and in the center, the largest figure I had ever seen. Its chest split open, revealing endless darkness, voids of eyes, faces that screamed silently. It reached out a limb that spanned the chamber like a tree branch. It whispered, "Evan, it is time to join us." Asterisk, I ran straight into the wall, or tried to. The wall wasn't a wall. It was flesh, moving, pulsing, alive. The figures all turned toward me, clicking in unison, their black eyes fixed. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. Not one hand, hundreds, thousands, pulling me, holding me, stretching me, pressing me toward the pulsing darkness at the center. I screamed. I kicked, clawed, fought like a madman. My lungs burned. My arms tore, but it didn't matter. The forest had me. The creatures had me. My own reflection, twisted and hollow, whispered, Asterisk, you can't escape. Asterisk, I felt myself being dragged into the center, into the green glow, into the void, into the place where time and space were meaningless. And then I remembered the old legends, the missing hikers, the voices on the radio, the towers. The forest was a trap. It had always been a trap. Asterisk, and now I was part of it. Asterisk, I woke up outside the forest hours later. Morning. Sunlight filtering through trees. Birds chirping. Nothing seemed wrong. The tower was gone. The dirt where the hole had been was solid, flat. Asterisk, I ran. Never looked back. Asterisk, but sometimes, at night, I hear it. Clicking in the trees. Whispers of my name. Shadows bending where they shouldn't. And I know the forest never forgets. Asterisk and I will never be free.